At home, a lot of people, they'll ask me, what do you do for a job? And I'm a cricket umpire. Oh, right. Do you do that locally in the area you live in? Or, no, I travel around the world and do that. Oh, really? Oh, and that's a job. You've got to be your best all the time. A couple of bad games and you can be given shown the door.
Given the door.
Yeah. And I said, well, to be perfectly honest, I know the England players better than I know the Australian players because I haven't umpired in Australia for 12 years at that time. I had a run-in with Virat once about him, just how excited he gets when they get a wicket. And he, in my opinion, went a bit over the top this time. I had to talk to him about it and he didn't agree and whatever. And then we didn't really talk much for the rest of the game. And then at the end of the game, he's shaking hands and he shook my hand and he said, Rod, are we okay?
How's that?
Not out, Navneet.
Voice aajKal, our medium, your message.
Good day, everyone. My name is Navneet Anand from Voice aajKal, our medium, your message. From playing on the field to making the big calls on one of cricket's top umpires, Rodney Tucker has seen it all. He stood in some of the game's greatest moments. The 2019 World Cup final at Lord's, the 2015 semi-final in Auckland, and that unforgettable 2016 T20 final where Brathwaite hits 4 sixes to seal it. Today, Rod Tucker shares his journey, the challenges of umpiring, and the highlights that defined his career. Welcome to the show.
Cheers, Navneet. Thank you.
Being a cricketer yourself, when did you actually start playing the game?
My first recollections are backyard cricket with my brother. I got an elder brother. So that was my first recollections. But certainly as a competitive cricket, we were in Newcastle in the early to mid 70s. I was about 7 or 8 and started playing then. And following in the footsteps of my elder brother who played as well. So going back as far as that. Yeah.
And the games that you played as a first class as well, what is the best memory that you cherish forever?
That's a good question. I think the best memories as a cricketer you have are the friends you make from the game. You bump into people that you've known for years and years, and you still have that connection with them because you have something in common. Obviously you have memories of your highest score or when you got a good wicket or things like that. But I think the best memories are team memories. When we won a game to get into the Sheffield Shield final in 93, 94. Ricky Ponting got 160 in that innings to get us in.
I think you were the captain of the team when Ricky Ponting was playing.
Yeah. So that was 93, 94, Tasmania's first Sheffield Shield. We ended up coming to Sydney and played the Baby Blues, and they beat us quite convincingly in 5 days. So yeah.
Well, me born in India, I remember cricket is a religion there. I think you have traveled to India multiple times. You may have seen that happening there as well. When you compare the cricket in Australia versus the cricket in India, what are the two common things that you see, or anything different that you see between India and Australia at the ground level?
At the ground level, I see a lot of things in common. Like, if you go to certain places in Australia, you'll see multiple games going on big parks. And like where I live now, that doesn't happen because I'm in the country and, there aren't those big grounds. But certainly I remember growing up in Sydney and seeing that. And then, I touched on previously about being in Mumbai and seeing those grounds that have multiple games going on at the same time. So I think the cultures like that are a little bit similar. Obviously, you've got a few more people than we have. So there are more examples of those grounds with those games going on. But I think the love of cricket in Australia and in India is of similar proportion.
What exactly inspired you moving from playing to umpiring?
So I was talked into playing cricket in Sydney in 2002, I think it was, by former Sheffield Shield player for New South Wales, Phil Emery, who was a mate of mine, who happened to be the opposition captain in that Sheffield Shield final in 93, 94. And we were mates, and he said, we need a captain at Gordon. I know you've moved down the south coast back from Tasmania, would you be interested in captaining? And I said, well, I'm living down there. I can't drive up, twice a week and train and then come up on the weekend again and play. It's just not viable. So I played that season and just didn't train much, but enjoyed it. But what I did notice was the players' behaviour in grade cricket, and sometimes I felt a lack of respect for the umpires.
Okay.
And I wondered if, as a former player, I would be more respected by the players because they knew I'd played the game. And that sort of got me thinking about getting involved in umpiring.
Right. Was the transition tougher than you expected, or was it a smooth one?
Look, it had its moments. There's no doubt I wondered, am I doing the right thing? And I didn't get into it thinking it was going to be a career. I got into it just see how I went and see if I enjoyed it. And over time, it just turned into a career. And I mean, I loved it, which I know as umpires, we have a bit of a laugh about, the best part of umpiring is when you're not umpiring. Because it can be a stressful job. But I think, just the progression into umpiring and the most difficult things are just remembering that you are the umpire and you're not a former player out there talking to mates. You've still got to officiate the game and run the game out there. Obviously, you don't want to do that over the top. You don't want to be a finger pointer and that sort of thing. And I feel like that a good umpire is someone who's out there and not noticed, a little bit like a good wicketkeeper. So that's the way I've always tried to do it. At times, obviously, you can't. You've got to actually jump in and separate players or whatever, but hopefully not too often.
When you say not too often, what has been that particular moment when you have to jump in and get two players separated?
There was the quarter-final of the 2011 World Cup where New Zealand played South Africa, and I think it was Kyle Mills came running on the field as a 12th man, and I think Faf du Plessis had just run out AB de Villiers, and so Faf was quite a young new player back in those days, or inexperienced, and he'd run out one of their best players. New Zealand were now a good chance to win the game, and so the New Zealand players were giving it to Faf a bit, and then next thing you know, there was a bit of a scuffle, and so I had to sort of jump in the middle of that, and luckily, I mentioned 2002 playing for Gordon.
Yes.
Scott Styrus had come over from New Zealand and was playing for Gordon in those first few games. So he and I were quite good friends, and he happened to be out on the field playing for New Zealand. So I've sort of, Styrus, get over here and sort your players out, so which helped a bit, yeah.
Rodney Tucker being an international acclaimed umpire, what is the biggest challenge for a new umpire?
I think nowadays the game changes so much from level to level because of the feedback you get. As an umpire in the grade cricket, there's not many cameras around. So you second guess yourself whether you've got a decision right. If the players think you've made a decision, they always see it the way they want to see it. And that doesn't change as you go higher. But you don't get that instant feedback. Whereas the test match level and everything, you stand there and I make a decision. If they do this, then we find out whether I'm right or wrong very quickly, and you can learn from that. So going from that for the young umpires to come up and have that instant feedback can be quite in their face. It can be hard to deal with sometimes that, oh, I'm wrong and everyone knows I'm wrong. Whereas back when I started, I thought I was right, they thought I was wrong. We don't really know. So, but to me, it's the best way to grow because you can actually see what you've done. Why did I see it that way? Did I get a caught behind wrong? It brushed his back leg. Did I second guess myself? Something like that. So you do learn more when you've got more feedback, obviously.
Talking about the pressure, then there are certain games which are absolutely high-stake games. So how do you handle that kind of pressure?
I've got a little saying that I say to myself when I'm feeling under pressure, and I just try and keep things simple. And let's face it, when I'm standing there and I've got a bowler running in and bowling at 145 kilometres an hour and a batter batting, I've got two choices. I either give him out or not out. I haven't got any other things to decide. So if I just relay that to myself, you've only got a choice of out or not out, so it can't be that hard. So stop worrying about everything else and just concentrate on that.
Normally the pressure is from the fielding team, then the batting team, because the batsman is not there to argue too much. On the other side, the whole team get together, starts running towards the umpire. That sort of pressure, is that the one you normally take it as let it come, I'll handle it?
Yeah, you have situations where a team is appealing and you're making a decision of an LBW or something like that. And to be perfectly honest, I actually don't really see what they're doing. I'm trying to figure out whether I'm giving it out or not out. Has it hit him in line? Has it pitched in line? Is it going to hit the stumps? Has he hit it? Make those decisions quickly in your head. You've got too much to think about, let alone worrying about are they appealing very loud or not very loud, or you do try and pick up information from everything else that helps you make that decision. But I think you just got a decision to make, and you don't want to get distracted by all those things going on around it.
So what would be the best piece of advice for the new coming umpires under these situations?
Try and keep it simple. Try not to be involved in the game too much unless you have to be. And when you have to be, you get the captain to try and run the game, and not yourself. The players respect their captain, so get him involved and use him to help you run the game. Decision making wise, keep things simple. Don't second guess yourself. Usually when we make a mistake, you've actually gone back on what your gut feel was. So you tend to, I think that was out, and then, I'm not sure, and then give it not out, and then you go, was out. So you do second guess yourself sometimes, which is hard because you're under pressure.
At times the decision that you make was not in the favor of the batsman or the bowler, whoever it is. And then probably after a number of years, you face them once again. Do they come and remind you of that particular incident?
They've got very long memories. Batsmen have got very long memories, yes. Like Joe Root and I, I've probably given him out LBW a few times and that sort of thing. And, he'll remind me of those occasionally. I remember standing in COVID when we were doing the Ashes, and it was in the 5th Test in Hobart, and Stuart Broad was at mid-on and Steve Smith was batting, and Stuart said to me, I must have given an LBW decision not out, and might have shown up umpire's call, and Stuart must have seen that and gone, Rod, you haven't given us an umpire's call all series. And I went, oh, haven't I? And I couldn't remember. And Steve Smith turned around and said, he gave me out in Adelaide on umpire's call. So you're wrong, Broady. And I went, if you think I'm that good, I can decide whether it's umpire's call or red. I said, mate, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
What stands out from being the TV umpire in 2019 World Cup at the Lords?
There was certainly an incident where Stokesy dived and the ball hit his back and it went for overthrows. Now, we had to make a decision, or the on-field umpires had to make a decision as to whether the ball was released by Martin Guptill, where the batters were, whether they'd crossed or not, because that dictates how many runs there were scored and who's on strike in the next delivery. So we were trying to get information, or I was trying to get information in the TV umpire's room. Have you got a shot of that when he released the ball, where the batters were? And the director, I don't know whether under the pressure he was under, as well as me being under pressure, the guys on field being under pressure, whether that message was portrayed clearly. But he told me he didn't have any footage of it, of showing that exact thing. So the on-field umpires had to make a guess as to whether the batters had crossed or not. And anyway, next day in the paper, I saw there was a photo of Guptill releasing the ball and where the batters were, showing that they hadn't crossed, whereas we discussed it and thought that they would have crossed because, well, let's face it, when the ball hit his bat, he was well in his crease. So he'd made his ground quite easily. So we just thought he must have crossed. He couldn't have made that much ground. So that would have changed a lot of things. That would have changed the fact that Ben Stokes would have been on the non-strikers end and they would have only got 5 runs, not 6. So it was a pretty major.
Every single run counts.
Yes.
There are a number of matches, the memories stick to your head forever. Any of the memories that come fresh for the 2015 semi-finals in Auckland?
Giving an LBW off, I think it was Imran Tahir, I think, giving an LBW on someone who was sweeping. I don't even remember who the batsman was. But just the atmosphere in that game, the build-up to that final over, Dale Steyn bowling to Grant Elliott and that 6 being hit. It was an amazing game of cricket, played in great spirit, between 2 very, very good teams. And, it was the memories of those things are, you don't tend to remember one incident, apart from the fact when he hit the 6 and things like that, but just the whole game was a great piece of sporting history.
The unexpected happens in the game. And I still remember the Breathwaite's 4 sixes in 2016 T20 final. How was the experience watching it there?
Yeah, well, just going into that last over, during that tournament, Ben Stokes had bowled the last over quite a few times from memory and had bowled really well. And bowled in the Yorkers and done it really well. So 19 off the last over was really a tough ask. But it's amazing what pressure can do, isn't it? And seeing him get the first one wrong, and I think from memory that it was only just wrong, and he somehow got under it and just carried over mid-off. And then it got slightly easier for Braithwaite after that, as Stokes missed his length a couple more times. And, it was just incredible hitting. The game, the West Indies running onto the field and celebrating. It was their first win in a tournament for a long time. So, great memories.
What has been the most rewarding part of your umpiring experience?
I think a little bit the same as the playing side of it. For me, it's those friendships, the umpiring friendships that I've got with your Paul Rifles, Murray Erasmus, Richard Kettleborough, Richard Illingworth, Adrian Holdstock in more recent times, Joel Wilson. These guys, I've probably forgotten a couple, but, Miss Chris Gaffney and these sort of people, they become your family when you're away. and you live and breathe cricket with them, and it's important that you get on well with them because you need time away from the game to relax and to get away from the cricket and the pressure. And these guys, those names I mentioned, they're my get out of cricket friendships.
How many trips have you made to India so far?
I think my last passport ran out in 2021, and I think I had 17 Indian visas in that one.
Okay.
So that's.
But 17 Indian visa doesn't mean 17 trips. It could have been more trips.
Could have been more trips, yeah, because some of those visas were for a year, and I did do the IPL for I probably did 8 times at the IPL, something like that. So there's 8 in itself. We had Champions League a number of times over there as well. And then you've got your bilateral series, 2011 World Cup. So I would expect 25 times I would have been there for sure.
Now, umpiring in a test match versus umpiring at IPL, how different is it?
A test match is called David Shepherd, I think, said this. A test match is called a test match for a reason. It's not only a test for the players, it's a test for the umpires. Decision making, player management, all those things. It's the ultimate test, and you feel after a test match of 5 days, you walk away and you feel like, yeah, I've had a good game, or I'm exhausted, but I feel like I've done well. I'm proud. IPL, such a short game, but so noisy.
Yes.
And so much action. The things you've got to watch now for wides, wides can be reviewed. There's a lot to do in a small space of time. So it's a different sort of pressure. You're just under the pump to keep the game moving for a start, to watch all these little things that you've got to watch now with the bouncers, with the high full tosses that can be, questioned and reviewed and all that. So they're very different, but obviously you're still doing almost the same job.
Normally people recognize you with the hat on. And when you are there walking around, like a few minutes ago when my friend Dr. Mohit Sharma said, I've seen you, probably one of the doctors.
Yes. I liked his perspective that he thought I was a doctor. Yeah, haven't had that one before. But you don't. I don't, in Australia normally I don't get recognised at all. In fact, at home, a lot of people, they'll ask me, "What do you do for a job?" And I'm a cricket umpire. Oh, right. Do you do that locally in the area you live in, or no? I travel around the world and do that. Oh, really? Oh, and that's a job. So they obviously don't know much about cricket, but it's quite amusing sometimes.
Like there's a lot of competition among the players to get in the team, and especially in a country like India and Australia where the talent is huge, but there are only 11 players who can play on the ground. Competition. How big is the competition in umpires as well?
Yeah, it's massive. We get judged on every decision. We find out we've got people, umpire coaches and match referees, writing reports on us every game we do. So the competition between umpires is real. We have our end of season stats and we get ranked from in the top, our 12 umpires on the elite panel. We all get ranked from 1 to 12 every year. It changes. Then you've got the guys in the international panels below that who are striving to get on the elite panel because, you travel around the world and, there's financial rewards as well. It's very competitive and, you've got to be your best all the time. A couple of bad games and you can be given shown the door.
Given the door.
Yeah.
One thing is a neutral umpire, but on the other side, when you're traveling around the world, the teams travel with you and then you make some friends out of the other country teams as well. Do they ever try to influence that friendship side of it?
No, I've never had the that side of it. It was interesting when we came back to do COVID and had to umpire Australia versus England. And some people said, "Oh, how will you find being neutral and being you've got your umpiring your home country." And I said, "Well, to be perfectly honest, I know the England players better than I know the Australian players because I haven't umpired in Australia for 12 years at that time. So a lot of these guys, I did a couple of big bash games, I think about 2018. And the only players I knew were the ones who had played for Australia or the coaches who were old, who I'd played against or around when I was umpiring in Australia. So different challenges, but I quite enjoyed doing the Ashes in Australia. Obviously, it was a different experience, and it was nice to stay in your own country. But it does, as I say, it does raise different challenges doing that.
Traveling all around the world, because it looks very glamorous that you are traveling the business class. You've been there with the game for a number of years, and you've been an umpire for many, many years now. Talking about the milestones, I think you are about to reach that 100 test.
Yeah, it's when you start, you obviously don't even talk about any milestones, or you're just happy to do a game here and there. It's become more of a thing that I've had a few people, my brother, my sister, my kids, mates, who want to come and watch my 100th test. And so I've it's become a bigger thing in my mind, because then I'll have a lot of people there in my corner, if you like, or my friends and everything that are wanting to be there, and they will be there. So I'm hopeful I'll be able to have that with one more year contract. I think I'll need to get that. Hopefully it'll be somewhere that they can come and enjoy.
I think you've done 95, 96 so far.
Yeah, I think 95 I'm on now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Not long to go. Where would you that 100th test to be if you have a choice to pick one?
If I could pick it,
if you could pick it,
it would be at Lord's without a question of doubt. Yes, it's the home of cricket. It's the whole feeling of the place. It's just a wonderful place to be, and to have that milestone go up there, that would be pretty special.
We would be the team at Voice aajKal looking forward to see that, and would be doing another episode once you do that 100 test.
Yes, why not?
As well.
Yeah.
Being an influential guy in the game, charities is something which is close to your heart, that I've heard. Which are the charities that you support?
So we did we've got a real estate business down at home, McGrath Estate Agents, and we do a golf charity day every year for the Cancer Support Foundation for our local area in Ulladulla. And so, yeah, we've raised a substantial amount of money for them in the last few years. And, it's quite a topical thing for me at the moment, and very emotional, because one of my best friends passed away on Sunday from cancer. So
this Sunday?
Yeah, last Sunday, yeah. So, his family and I are very close. So, it's just coincidental that cancer was the charity that we did it for. But, as it was Rob, my mate, he had cancer. So he battled for 2.5 years or so through about 5 bouts of chemotherapy and radiation. And incredible man, so strong.
And I've just been told by my team that you have got us a T-shirt signed by Jasprit Bumrah for us as well.
I believe you may have purchased that at the auction, eh? Yeah. So we're very grateful for that, and hopefully I can get you some more if we need to.
If you have to pick your favorite 11 as a World 11 team, whom do you think the captain would be?
It's an interesting one, because I think sometimes you could go the easy path and have someone that doesn't challenge you, or someone who they might ask a question but they just get on with it and don't hassle you or whatever. But there's been captains who I've respected, and it's because they'll ask you a question, but you better be making sure that you've got the right answer. You know, that you're not just trying to make something up. And Graham Smith was one of them who I found very challenging, but I also found very respectful. Ben Stokes is a little bit like that, but he doesn't. Once you give him an answer, he won't question it. He'll just move on. Look, a lot of the guys have been fantastic. You know, I've only really I had a run-in with Virat once about him, just, you know, how excited he gets when they get a wicket. And he, in my opinion, went a bit over the top this time. I had to talk to him about it and he didn't agree and whatever. And then we didn't really talk much for the rest of the game. And then at the end of the game, you know, he's shaking hands and he shook my hand and he said, "Rod, are we okay?" I went, "Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm okay." So it was interesting that he'd remembered and wondered whether I hadn't spoken to him on purpose or, yeah. But, you know, the players these days are very respectful. I'm not saying they weren't in the past, but their behaviour on field is majority of the times, you know, exemplary.
Well, I think number of cameras all around the ground are much more than what they used to be.
They haven't got much choice, have they?
Even the stump mics.
Yes, which has brought up some funny things in the time, hasn't it?
Right. Before I wrap up, what would be your message and advice to the aspiring umpires?
Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously because you'll get caught out. But also look after your colleagues that are on the field with you, because teamwork in umpiring is just as important as it is in the game as players. So that would be my message, that look out for your colleague on the field and then think about yourself second.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
It was wonderful talking to you. From the pressure of world finals to the lessons learned along the way, Rodney Tucker's story is a reminder that in cricket, just like in life, it's not only about playing the game, but also making the right calls. Thank you.
VG Times. Be with the times.